welcome to Shownanigans. My name is Doob.
And I am Toob, also known as
DEVA. And
Tresha.
so today's episode is called Hell Hath No Fury. It's episode 4 of Castle.
So, Doob, if you were to use your face, how would you describe this episode? Like, summarize it for me.
In short, it's all about politics, and the victim himself is a candidate for a re-election, and yeah, he's found dead on top of a rug, and that's how the episode starts.
Okay. Yeah, basically the first thing that happens is we hear oh, you're supposed to be my friend. I thought that there would be like modern songs. I wasn't expecting like the Strokes or whoever sang that.
As I said before, there is a diverse there are diverse music.
Will there be
like
Bollywood?
a whole bunch of different. I don't think I've heard Bollywood or K-pop or J-pop or anything. But...
You said diverse.
Okay, diverse in the terms of like different styles of music.
Diverse
not
English
different,
music.
Not different languages, but
Kate just comes out and she's just in a sari. She's hiding behind a tree looking at Castle. No, it would be the other way around. Castle would be hiding behind the tree and he'd be peeping out looking at Kate, and she'd be off on her cell phone. Like, Esposito, give it to me. And then in the background it's just
oh my god, Esposito and Kevin would be the backup dancers.
They would. That'd be great. Oh my god. Someone needs to make this. I mean, I know the show was
playing already in my brain, and it looks really weird.
The show was made in 2008, but like somebody should make it now. I'm sure everybody would love it. Anyhow, right after that, we see a body being unraveled from a carpet, and somebody like running away, like, "Oh my god, it's a body in a carpet!"
Yeah.
And the first scene is basically Castle. He's sitting there with Kate at the desk. And she's just like, "Why are you here? Don't you have a book signing?" And he's going on about the coffee. He's like, "This coffee is disgusting. I hate it." And it's like, "Why are you here?"
And she was like, "You're watching me do paperwork. It's creepy."
This episode has like a lot of good, like, quotable one-liners. Like, I have a lot of them written down.
Yeah, me too. I really like this episode.
So his book is coming out, his last book for the Derek Storm series, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It's called Stormfall, something like that. Stormfall.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be doing like book signings and promoting the book because the book is coming out, but he's like avoiding it. And Kate says it's because he's afraid. He's afraid of going.
Yeah, like yeah. She says that he's like, is it because you're scared or something like that? She was saying that. Because I think it's because of like he just released the book, so he's not sure how well it'll do and stuff like that.
He's had like his writer's block.
Yeah, so it's like the first book after a while.
He drinks the coffee and he's like, "Oh, it tastes like a monkey peed in battery acid."
Yeah.
How do you
like
know,
he
Castle?
Really hates the coffee there.
How do you know, Castle? How do you know what that tastes like? Okay. And then the phone rings.
I have my ways. Yes.
I'm sure you have your ways.
Shut up.
So the phone rings and Kate gets up and Castle's like, "Ooh, a dead body?" Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they end up going to this apartment and they find out that like somebody was moving into the apartment and they were looking for like, I guess they saw the carpet in like a dumpster and they picked it up and they brought it home and they unrolled it and there was a dead body in it. But Doob, wouldn't you know? What did you know?
That there is a dead body in there? Of course I would know. I know how a dead body feels like. No, I'm just kidding. But I would feel the weight. I would feel the weight of like something more than just a rug.
Like you would see like the head and stuff too, because like the carpet wasn't so much longer than him. It was like almost at the same length as the guy in it, the politician.
Yeah.
I guess we're just supposed to suspend belief. Kevin, I guess, says that the guy doesn't have any ID on him. He doesn't have any money, so he thinks it's a robbery. But then Castle and Kate together both say like it's not a
This was
robbery
not a robbery.
because like what is it? They say like it's because why would the robber stick around and shoot somebody and then wrap them up on a carpet and then throw them out, right? You just take their money and go.
Yeah, like robbers are usually, well, I would think like they're
in an ideal situation.
Yeah, they're just like after the money, so they would just take it and run. Like they don't have any other like plans to do anything with the body. All they're after is the money, right? But if they did all these extra things, that means it's not just the robbery. It's not just a robber. And Castle and Beckett both like know that offhand, and so they're both like, yeah, it's not a robbery.
And then Castle, without Kate knowing, because Kate's talking to Lainey, he starts taking bodies. He starts taking pictures of like, it looks like he's taking pictures of the body, but we find out like more of what he's doing later. And then Lainey kind of says like, yeah, he's been shot. He's been in the carpet for a while. And then Kate says, okay, well we're gonna have to ID him. And then Castle says, no need. I know who this is. It's Jeff Horn, somebody running for, I think he's like re-election. He's like a politician. He's running for re-election. I think he's probably like a small, like, you know how we have like people who run different wards here? I think it's like that.
Yeah. And he said that he saw his face on the bus ads.
Yeah.
And that's how he knows who he is.
Yeah, because he's running again against somebody called like Jason Bollinger or something. That's his running opponent. Yeah.
So then they go to see his wife. And his wife
is called Lori Horn.
Yeah. And she they were talking to her about like basically her husband's like work habits and stuff like that. And she was saying, yeah, he's very like diligent. He works really hard for everyone. Like it's just basically saying that he's a really dedicated and hardworking person, and he stays up late as well. So when they questioned her as to why he stayed up late and stuff like that, she was saying that, yeah, he's like very tied to his work. So it's not like something that she would question on why he came late or why he was staying up late or whatever.
And that night specifically, he had like a fundraiser that he was at or something. And she says specifically, I called him at 11 to like ask how it was going and stuff like that. And she said like, and Castle says, well, how did he sound? And she's like, oh, he sounded happy. And she's like really crying. Like she's like, oh, my husband is dead. What am I going to do? What am I going to tell my daughters?
He's like, he was just a really good person, you know?
And I spoke to, and like I told Frank this morning, and Kate and Cass are like, who's Frank? And she's like, Jeff's campaign manager. So she had spoken to him that morning. So then they start driving down to see Frank. Frank Nesbitt, Jeff's campaign manager. And they're in the car. And I think Kate looks at Castle and says, thanks for not like interrupting me or like getting in my way during the questioning. And Castle's like, I'm a wise ass, not a jackass. And I'm like, debatable.
I'm sure he said something that is debatable later, like right after or something.
No, I have it written down here because like right after Kate asks him, so like this character in the book that you're writing about me, like how much of it's going to be exactly like me? Like how much of me are you using? And Castle says, oh, well, she's not too bright and she's kind of slutty.
And then he expands it more and he's like, she's kind of wise, really good at her job, and slutty. Like it's like, okay.
She's like haunting good looks, really good at her job, and kind of slutty.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious the way he said it.
She's like, are you being a jackass or a wise ass? And he's like, jackass.
Yep.
And then his phone starts ringing. I'm having a feeling that for like every person in his in his phone, he has like a different theme song for them. So for Kate, it's da na 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 na, and for his mom who's calling right now, it's Flight of the Valkyries, which is dun 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 dun.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Wow.
If I were calling you, what would my ringtone be?
Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.
What?
I don't know.
Do you know what yours
The
would
first
be?
thing that came.
You know what yours would be?
What?
I got you one. Ba 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 ba. La da da two. Ba 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 ba. So she's calling him to tell him that his books aren't selling very well. Throughout this whole episode, she's really down on him about his books. She's just like, your books aren't selling well. No one's buying them. What are you going to do? And he's like, it's like they just came out, Mom.
It like literally like that
morning.
Hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was out, and she goes to where the books are being sold, and she's just staring at everyone, seeing if anyone is buying the book or not. Mm-hmm. And this girl even like goes to pick up the book just to see, and puts it back, and she was like, "Oh, I think someone's buying a book. Oh, no." Like, it's such a letdown.
Yeah, Kate's kind of looking over like, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, it's fine, it's great. And then they end up back at the headquarters. No, they're not at headquarters, because she asked Kevin and Esposito to go through the dumpster, and
they find Jeff's wallet in the dumpster, and
they find out that the money and the credit cards aren't there, and there's no blood splatter in the area. But Castle says it doesn't fit a robbery because you wouldn't leave a wallet where you moved the body, but where you killed him, basically.
Yeah.
So he thinks it's a cover up, and Kate agrees with him it's a cover up, and they're on their way to like the campaign office. Because they were going to go see Frank. Right. So they go to see Frank, and they start questioning him about like what happened that night. And Frank says that he was with Jeff until 11. And that's when he left for his fundraiser. Kate and Castle are asking him, does he have any enemies? Is there anybody who would want to kill him? And Frank says, he only has like his running opponent, Jason Ballinger, but he's only like 8 points up in the polls. So he doesn't think that it's Jason who would kill him. But he does say that he does get hate mail from somebody called Calvin Creason, who is a hotel owner and a pub owner.
So they go to see Mr. Creason.
Oh yeah, we should mention the reason. The reason he would want to kill Jeff Horn is because he was putting up like these hotels and stuff, but people in the area don't want like the nightlife and like the club life in their area. So Horn was like shutting down his hotels and clubs and stuff. So that's the motive for Creason.
So they go to see Mr. Creason after
Mr.
that. They were talking to Mr. Creason, and they were asking him basically like, did you kill him and all this stuff? And he was saying, I remember he was saying specifically, if I killed everyone that I had something against, like the bodies would be piled up here and stuff like that. And then he also provided an alibi as well. He said something about being in the Soho at like 12 or whatever, when I think 11 or 12 is between 11 and 12 is when the murder happened. And he said, I was there at Soho at that time, so that's my alibi.
He says because Kate asks him, what did you do when you heard he was dead? And he says, oh man, like I opened a bottle of Crystal. Like I was really happy when I heard he died. Like I don't like that guy because he keeps shutting down my ventures, but and he's also super skeevy. He's got like the slicked up hair, and his like shirt's halfway open, and he's like just sitting there. And Castle, you can tell, hates the guy. He's like, can we arrest him? I don't like him.
Yeah. He's like not the ideal person or character.
Not the greatest guy. But he has an alibi, so they realize like maybe it's not him, like even though he's like perfect for it.
And he's also like very obvious too, so
it's a little too obvious, but
they don't think it's him.
I kind of hope that guy comes back as like a villain later. I think that would be interesting.
Mr. Creason?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting if he comes back later as like a villain or something. But anyhow, so they Castle and Kate leave. She's like, okay, I guess we'll look into him more. And Castle's like, oh, there's no need. And Kate's like, Kate says, why not? And Castle says, because, well, I took pictures of the crime scene. And Kate's like, you took pictures of my crime scene?
Yeah.
And Castle says, no, it's not like that. I didn't take pictures of the body or anything. I just took pictures of the carpet, and I sent it to an interior decorator that I was sleeping with.
Yeah.
And then he says to her, by the way, don't sleep with your coworkers. Cautionary tale.
Jeez.
And she just
she got so like infuriated.
Yeah.
Because she thinks that like he just like released all these like case details and like private information basically to an interior decorator that he just slept with. But he actually was he didn't tell her anything. He just sent her a photo of the rug specifically to her and asked her like, oh, do you recognize this rug? And he did get the answer, because where he was led to, like where he was leading Beckett to, was where the rug was.
The interior decorator messages him back and says, yes, I recognize those rugs. They're from that hotel. They're from Mr. Creason's hotel. Castle says, can we arrest him now? So then they arrest Creason and bring him in. And like the first thing you see is Creason like drinking the coffee. He's like, I hate this.
Oh boy.
And then they interview him, and he says he wasn't, and I mean, they don't interview him. They were checking out like his alibi, like specifically to see if it was true. And he lied. He wasn't at the club until after midnight. And then Kate starts questioning him, and she says to him, you entered the club with 2 models on your arm. And he says, detective, the last time I checked, that isn't like illegal. And she says, no, but it was memorable. So people know that you were there at that time. So you have no alibi for the time before that. Where were you between 11 and 12? And then Castle's in the other room, and all you hear is Castle going, here it is, here it comes. Booyah, she dropped it on you. And then
and she's just like, so where were you at this time? I think he was kind of just like waiting for that like critical time to bring it up, that he knew that Jeff was going to lose the case.
What?
Mr. Creason?
Oh, no, there's something that happens before that. Castle's in the other room, right? And he's like, booyah. And then Creason's like, oh, yeah, I was asleep. And then Castle's like, asleep? You are lame. Lamey McLame, man. You are lame. And he's like yelling it so they can hear him in the questioning room.
And then like someone just comes into the into where Castle is, and he just stares at him, and then Castle just kind of shuts up after that.
And then that's when what you were saying happens.
Yeah. So that's when like Mr. Creason admits that he knew that Jeff was gonna lose the case. And they're like,
the race.
How did you? Yeah, the
election.
Yeah. So then they were like, oh, but how did you know? Like, it's not set up or anything. And then he said Mr. Bollinger has some information. And that's when he reveals that. So then they go to see Mr. Bollinger. Bollinger? I don't know.
Hello, yes, my name is Bollinger. Jeff Bollinger. Nice to meet you. I'm running for office. Would you vote for me? Vote Bollinger.
That sounds terrible.
Exactly.
Bollinger? Okay, Mr. Bollinger.
Did you say Bollinger? Bollinger. Bollinger. You made it sound Indian.
Bollinger.
I know we're both Doob, I know we're both brown, but come on, man.
Mr. Bollinger.
Yeah.
Mr. Bollinger had some information.
Do you need a moment to get yourself together?
I'm good, I think. They go to see Mr. Bollinger, and in his office, I guess, he revealed that he had photos, certain photos. And
he had a PI look into Jeff, and he got photos of him because he just got them like just in case. He's like, I'm 8 points up in the running, but I've gotten these photos just in case. Like, I need to use them, like, in case he gets in front of me.
Yeah.
And what are the photos, Doob?
And the photos are Jeff and not his wife.
Not his wife.
This other woman. Specifically a whore.
Oh my God! Don't say that. Say that again. Don't say whore.
Prostitute.
Sex worker.
They call another name was escort.
Yeah.
Okay. So he revealed that he had photos of 2 people. One was Jeff.
Yep.
And not his wife, but another woman, specifically an escort. Then Castle, obviously, goes all like, oh.
Yeah. He's like, look at the picture. She's like, wow.
Wow.
So Castle and Kate start going back to the office again, and Castle calls Jeff Councilman horny.
Yeah, like Mr. Horny.
Yeah, he is a poet, Councilman Horny. So Kate's like, she doesn't really like the sex worker thing. She doesn't like sex workers, I feel like, or like women who sleep with married men. Because Castle says to him, no. Kate says, did she really think he was going to leave his wife for her? Because I guess right at that moment, they weren't completely sure that she was an escort yet. They just thought she was like another woman, because they're driving over to meet the private investigator right now. And then Castle says, did you ever think that the girl was in it just for sex? Kate says, yes, I did. And then I saw him. And Castle says, was it because he was wearing a rug?
Oh my gosh.
Too soon. And then Esposito calls and says that the rug is a dead end because he talked to a housekeeper and a couple of the rugs were actually dumped. Like Calvin got rid of them recently. So anybody could have wrapped him up in the rug, basically.
Yeah.
So they get to the PI, and then what happens?
The PI, his name is Mr. Kirby. Like Kirby. Anyways.
Oh, you mean like Kirby, like the character Kirby. Pink Kirby.
The pink Kirby.
It was Pink Kirby that was sitting at the desk when Kate and Castle walked in.
And so he identifies her as an escort at that time. And he was saying that before, like in the olden days, you would have to call them and like business cards. They would leave business cards and stuff. But now they have a website, and he typed it in his laptop, and you'd see a website, and it has a whole bunch of escorts that are working in that place or whatever.
In that place. In their escort place. They have an escort building where you go to, and it's called Escort Incorporated, and you go there. It's like Doofenshmirtz Incorporated, except it's Escorts Evil Incorporated.
Yeah, like in the website, they have a list of like a whole bunch of escort workers. So they go back to the police department, the station, and they're looking through the website to see if any of the photos match the girl in the photo.
Kevin and Esposito and Castle are all looking at it, and they're like, so how much would you pay?
Yeah.
And Kate walks by, and she's just like, Kevin, you would only pay for the 2 seconds you used. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Get him.
You know that term, like, boys will be boys?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like that term, but in this case, like, you see them acting like this, and you're like, yep, this is where you use that term, basically. Because they're all acting the same way.
Oh, I see you using it like that. I would just be like, men.
Okay.
But yeah, so they figure out that the sex worker's name is Tiffany. And Kate's like, oh, it's going to take a while to track her down because these websites do a good job of like masking where their headquarters are, and they might be in a different district. So we might have to contact the police people in that district to see if they cooperate with us. And then Castle just picks up his phone and friggin' just calls the escort. And it's like, hello. And he's like, hello, I am a very generous gentleman, and I would like to have a date with Tiffany.
Yeah, and he leaves a voicemail for her, and he's like, call me at this number.
Yeah. And Kate is just like,
what the heck? Like,
chasing. She's like, stop, Castle, stop. You can't.
We're the police. And he corrects her, and he was like, correction, you're the police, and I'm just like a walking bystander.
And then immediately after that, a delivery guy comes with an espresso machine. Like, he ordered an espresso machine for everybody. And Kate
after complaining all this whole episode about how shitty the coffee was.
Yeah, and Kate is like so annoyed, like already. Like she already hates Castle. I'm pretty sure earlier in the episode she's like, no, Castle, I hate you. She's so annoyed with him that she can't even appreciate the coffee machine, the espresso machine. She's just like, I hate you. And you bought the espresso machine, therefore I hate that espresso machine. And Kevin and Esposito are like, yeah, this is great. She's just like, I have paperwork to do. And did you notice the name of the espresso machine? It's called Espresso Intenso.
Is it because he wanted intense coffee and he didn't want shitty coffee? Or
Intense.
like, what?
It's not just regular espresso, Doob. It's not just like the regular kick you'd get. It's intense.
Oh, yay.
Now he's in the kitchen with Alexis.
Yeah, he was in the kitchen with Alexis, and Castle's mom comes in as well. And she was like, oh, I found a review and it was like really bad and like you should read it. And she reads it for him, and it's basically like a critic, like that,
just
like
bashing his book.
Yeah, and he was like you wrote this book after so long, and it's the exact same, like you need to find new content, stuff like that.
Your content is stale, like
yeah. And then she's like, oh well, it's okay or something, and then she just leaves.
Yeah, and Alexis says, how long did you think it took her to find that review? Because it was like from a really obscure newspaper, so it's obvious that she's just been looking for bad reviews to show Castle. And it's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? Also, did you notice that Castle and his daughter, they're chopping onions and they have onion goggles on? Did you notice the onion goggles? I've seen those. Like, I've seen YouTube channels review those onion goggles.
Wow.
Yeah, you should get some. We were cutting onions before and you cried.
I cut onions a lot. I pretty much use onions. Like, everything that I cook, basically, I use onions.
She's so good at cooking.
Because I live by myself, I kind of have to.
Onions. So yeah. Then, this part's interesting because he looks at Alexis and he says to her, number one, you have the bridge, as if he's like Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek. And he was a captain. He was a captain in Firefly.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he walks away and Tiffany's called back. And then immediately we cut to like Lainey coming into the morgue, and Kate's just sitting there. She's like, "Hey, Lainey," and Lainey's like, "What the hell?" Kate?
I love that part. Yeah, I love that part. Yeah,
Lainey, you were surrounded by corpses, and she's like, "I don't expect a corpse after 10.
I don't expect like the living after 7.
Oh yeah. And Kate's like, "Neither do I." And then Lainey's like saying to her, like, "Why don't you date Castle?"
Yeah, basically.
Just like, date Castle. He's fun. He's a fun man. And immediately her phone rings and Castle's like, guess who's got a date with a prostitute?
And she's just like she just throws her hand open and she like,
listen to this shit.
Or like, do you see what I'm talking about? Like,
she's telling him he's annoying. He's like full of himself. He's so
egotistic.
He's so egocentric. I hate him. And then Lainey's like, and he's fun. So many quotable lines. I think I'm gonna like come up to you one day and just be like, guess who's got a date with a prostitute? You're gonna be like, Tube.
Is it that time already?
What do you mean that time? Do I have a specific time when I get a sex worker? Is it sex worker time?
I don't know too. Maybe. People have a schedule for everything, you know. Some people do.
Oh my god, my sex worker schedule. How could I forget? I put it in my bullet journal. There's just a page for it.
It's in pink.
Oh my god. Why pink? Why do you associate sex workers with pink?
I don't know.
I want to know your mental gymnastics are. Okay, dude, what happens next?
So after that, he gets the call about the date with the prostitute. So they go to meet her, and they ask her like about Jeff and when was the last time he saw him and stuff like that. Tiffany goes, Jeff felt lonely and wanted to feel connected. And connected basically means like through sexual intercourse, basically.
Yeah.
And so Kate like puts her eyebrows up and she was like, so when was the last time you felt connected with him?
Oh no. It was like, when was the last time you two connected?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Kate, throughout this whole questioning, you know, she's like judging the sex workers so hard. It's a bit sad. I was kind of like, oh, why do you have to judge her so much? She's just doing her job. Like, I kind of believe, like, Castle seems very sympathetic of her, and Kate's just like, oh, this woman.
Yeah. So she said like, oh, it was like a couple of weeks ago that they
they
that
met, yeah.
And
You're just like, you just really want to say that they connected. What's wrong with you today?
Okay, that's a term that they use, and that's the term I'm gonna use. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay.
So, she was mentioning that he told her that he was being blackmailed. Jeff.
He was
Jeff
really
said that he was-
scared.
yeah, and he was saying that he was being blackmailed with photos of the two of them together. And at first, he thought that it was her, like it was Tiffany that was blackmailing him or that had those photos and stuff. And then he realized it's not.
He said he wanted to meet with the blackmailer so he could pay the blackmailer off because he couldn't keep using campaign funds. So then Kate and Cass were like, oh, he's been using campaign funds to pay off this blackmailer. So they decide to go and pay Jason a visit because Jason Bollinger, because they said that he would, because he had the photos. So he was the only one maybe who could be blackmailing him. But Jason says it's not him. And also, like, he was only going to use the photos if like if he started to lose. And also Kate says, I'm going to launch an investigation into your party. I want to know everybody who would have had access to those photos, anybody coming in and out of your office. And he says, you're going to launch an investigation when I only have 2 weeks left in this campaign. And Castle says, like, what's the problem? You're already winning. And Jason says not for long because Lori Horn has started running in her husband's place.
Yeah.
And Jason says it's so like skeevy because he's like, if I release those pictures now, it won't even do anything. It'll just get her more of the sympathy vote. Like all these people seem to care about is winning.
I mean, I think that's also the gist of like politics in itself. Like that's all they care about in general. Like, well, I wouldn't speak for everyone, but that's all it seems to be.
They just want to win no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kate wants to investigate everybody in the office who could have done that. And then Castle says there's like 300 people because they're driving back to the precinct, I think. And Kate says she just wants to cross-reference them in case somebody's using campaign funds, because if somebody was using them, then there has to be a trail, like a money trail, basically. So they go back to see Frank to get the campaign ledgers and everything like that. And they look through the campaign ledgers and they realize that the money was being, I guess she tells Kevin and Esposito to look into it because Kate, now they're at the coffee machine and Kate's drinking the old coffee from the old coffee machine. She doesn't want to use the new one because of course she doesn't. And Kevin and Esposito and Castle are all using the espresso machine and they're all like drinking it and they're like, oh, it's so good and everything like that. And then Kevin and Esposito reveal that they found out where the money went. Basically it was like transferred around to like try to like throw the trail off of it, right? But essentially it went to the private investigator, Jack Kirby.
Yeah. Kirby is the one that blackmailed Jeff. With the photos.
He also has the same like gun that was used to shoot him.
Yeah. So he was like asking Jeff for $250K basically, which is a lot of money. He just said he was like waiting for him to come with the money and he just never showed up.
He said that, sorry, I drank some of my smoothie. He said that
I heard.
Kate and Castle were like criticizing him because he used to be a cop, right? And he got fired for like being violent and things like that, and like violent arrests and stuff like that. So they don't like him, obviously. And so Kirby says to them, hey, at least I wasn't dipping my churro in someone half my age. And I'm like, oh my God, the imagery.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
See, it was Esposito and Kate interviewing him, right? And isn't Esposito like Mexican?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the first thing he thought of was churros. So Jeff never showed up, but he had $250,000 on him. So Kate says, well, then what happened to the $250,000? The sergeant is also there and he says, we need to follow the money because if we find where the money is, we're probably going to find the killer.
Yeah, and they also were like didn't know like where he would get the money, where he got the money from too, because they knew that he was like using the campaign funds for like some of the money, but it wouldn't be enough to cover all of it. Like 250,000 is a lot. So there were like two questions basically, like where he got the money and then like where the money is right now.
Castle was really good this episode. He was really helping out a lot. And he says, well, he would get it from people who like him, so probably from donations. And so they go back to see Frank again, and he's at a rally for Lori for her election to elect her. And they're talking about specifically gun violence, how gun violence killed her husband and stuff like that. And that's relevant. So Frank comes down and talks to Kate and Castle and says, look, I'm not going to have you look into our top donators, because Castle and Kate are insinuating that there are people who are donating to their campaign who like aren't on the donors list. They're like maybe some outside people who are donating a lot of money. And he says, Frank says, I'm not going to give you my donors list, but you can look at our public donations list. The public has access so that you can look at that, but I'm not going to tell you who our top donors are. So he's being no help.
Yeah. And then you see Castle at home and he was talking to Alexis, his daughter. And I don't remember what their conversation
She's reminding him he has like a signing tomorrow and that he has to be there. And then she says to him, he's looking specifically, like he does this thing that I do where you're only looking for the bad comments. And I feel like a lot of people do that. They only look for the bad comments. They don't look for the good ones. So that's what he was doing. He was looking at bad reviews basically.
Yeah.
And Alexa says, but look at this good review. And she's like, I'm very proud of you, Dad. You did a really good job.
Yeah.
And she's like, you need to go to that signing tomorrow. And Castle, he kind of sits back and goes, hey, if you needed $250,000, where would you get it from?
And she looked at him and she was just like, I just asked you.
And he's like, you just asked me.
And you see his laptop, and on his laptop is like a newspaper article with the election, with the new election coming up, and it's like Jeff's wife, Lori, and she's just on there, and he sees her face, and it just connects like, oh, Jeff would have probably already asked her, which means that she would have known about the escort as well.
And then, like, this is my favorite scene in the whole episode. We cut to Kate, and she's in the office. She's working late, and she gets
God.
It's the best scene, because you know why? I can imagine myself doing this. Like, imagine, like, somebody I hated gave, like, you're friends with them, right? And they give you something. I would be the exact same. I'm like, I'm not using it. I'm not going to use it. And you'd be like, oh, Tube, come on. Don't worry about it. They're not that bad. And I'd be like, I don't want to. And then I'd see you using it, and I'd be like, oh, I want to use it though. Like deep down. and then, cause she goes over to the espresso machine and she starts using it. And she's like having like a moment. She's like, oh, it smells so good. And everything like that. And she's like listening to the noises the espresso machine is making, and she's like taking it in.
Honestly, it's very relatable, because a lot of like coffee drinkers and coffee lovers, like they are really like satisfied with like the whole experience of
making espresso.
Yeah, and espresso especially, like there's like other ones too, like French press is also really satisfying, but espresso, I feel like
what's a barista? If you can't tell.
I was a barista. And I didn't like coffee before I was a barista. I liked it after I became a barista. So
So she's like taking it in. She's enjoying the whole experience. And then here's Castle like, hey. She's like, oh.
Yeah. And she just like jolts. Like,
he's like, hi. She's like, hi. Hi, Castle.
Actually, I can see you acting the same way.
Yeah, I would do that too. Oh yeah, I have here in my notes that Kate's a tsundere. Don't you think so? Like the anime trope of tsundere, like somebody who just acts like they hate you, but really they like you.
Oh yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Wow. I never thought of it that way. But
like she would never. Because part of the episode, Castle says to her, you know, I've noticed you really like bossing around your male coworkers. It's because she doesn't know how to show them like affection or whatever. She shows it through bossing around and whatnot.
Yeah. So what happens next?
So after he like jump scares her, he takes her to a computer. Like he's like, I've been down in the archives and I've been looking through newspapers, and I found that Jeff, he has no money, but Lori, she has all the money. So like she's rich. So he thinks that Lori knew about the affair and that Jeff got the money off her. Then Esposito, they cut to like next morning, and Esposito and Kevin are talking, and they're trying to look through Lori's bank, basically her bank and account number and everything. And Esposito says that she marketed $300,000 worth of stock that morning that he was killed, or a couple days before Jeff was killed.
Yeah. So they went to like confront Lori about it.
They bring her in, yeah.
Yeah, they bring her in, and she was kind of like defensive because she was saying that he had the money, like Jeff had the money. He had the money.
He had the money. I called him at 11. And Castle keeps saying, what did you say to him? What did you say to him when you called him at 11? And she keeps hesitating.
And then after that, they revealed that they found the money in her house.
Yeah, because she was saying he had the money on him. Like, I don't know where the money is, because they kept like, where's the money? Where's the money? I don't know where it is. He had it. And then it's like, well, why is it in your house? And she's like,
why is it in your house then? Yeah.
My house? And they're like, yeah, we got a search warrant. We went in this morning. Surprise, found it in your house. She reveals to them that he bought the stocks. I mean, he sold the stocks basically, and he forged her signature on it. So when the bank called her to confirm the stock sale, she realized he had sold them. So she confronted him, and he lied and was like, oh, it's for tax reasons, but she managed to get it out of him that he was having an affair.
Yeah. Yeah. You could tell her voice is like kind of breaking down a little bit at that time, so you could tell that she was affected, like very much so.
Because she says to him, you see those women standing next to their men at the press conferences, and you think, how do they do that? How do they hide how they're really feeling, right? Because they're standing there all stony faced when they're really just angry and like terror and like in anguish over what their husband has done.
Yeah.
And obviously she couldn't deal with it, right? But she keeps saying to them, I didn't kill him. It wasn't me. And Kate says,
conspiracy to murder is the same as murder. And that's when she finally like reveals the truth. She started off and she said like it was her job to make the call. So basically she called him to tell him no.
No. She just phoned him and was like, he answered the phone at his fundraiser, like, hey, babe, what's up? She's like, now. So that's it. No.
It is her job to call her husband, Jeff, and let him know, that's what I meant to say, to let him know that the location had changed for the blackmail, basically, like the exchange and everything for the money. And she told him that it was like, instead, it was like in an overpass and where nobody can like see or no one was around and stuff like that.
And the whole time this is happening, you don't see her, but you can hear her voice like emotionally explaining it. She's like, all I had to do was make a call. And all you see is like Kate and Castle and Esposito and Kevin finding the underpass, and they find like where he was shot, and they see the bloodstains, they see the hole in the wall, they see everything basically.
Yeah, they basically discover like the original like
place he was killed.
Yeah, and then after that it cuts back to like them with her, and she was saying, he said no one would know. It's not supposed to be like this.
She said it would he said it would disappear.
Yeah,
he said it would all disappear.
And she said, we were friends. And that's
You're supposed to be my friend.
A lot of like the songs, they connect. Like the beginning of the episode, they had that friend song, right? You were supposed to be my friend. And in here,
at what point did "Don't You Wish Your Girlfriend Was Hot Like Me" connect in the first episode?
Maybe they got smarter.
Okay. Yeah, and then,
we can do this. This works than random, songs that we play.
Oh my god. Maybe the songs we play can connect to things that are happening in the episode. Big brain moment.
Like even the So What, like the pink one, like it connected because it was the same ringtone as the victim's phone. Yeah.
So then Kate and Castle are asking Lori, who is he? Like, who did it? And then all you see is them bursting into the campaign office because they want to arrest Frank Nesbitt. Frank Nesbitt, you are under arrest.
Yeah.
For the murder.
He tries to run.
He tries to run, and then Kevin he tries to come out the back door, and Kevin and Castle are standing there, and he's like, "Stop running, your campaign's over." And Castle goes, "Ooh, nice." So
Castle's such a joker.
I know. Oh my god. So they're talking to the sergeant afterwards, Kate and Castle, and they explain. Well, Castle's explaining like Lori did it because she was angry with her husband, and Frank helped her because he knew that if the scandal came out, that he would lose the race, and that they could never come back from it, basically.
Yeah, and I love this part because the lieutenant, he was like, "Good work, Castle," and he like walked away, and he was like, "Oh, and you too, Beckett," as if she was just like there on the sidelines to like help Castle out, and Castle was the actual one who solved it.
And she's like, "Sir?"
Yeah.
Just joking, Kate.
I love that part. There are a lot of like really good moments here, actually.
But don't you think it's so like ironic that it was Frank and Lori who did it, and like the whole time Lori's playing the whole grieved widow card, like the sympathy card, and she's saying, "Oh, it was gun violence that killed my husband, and we have to clean up the streets, and we have to clean up all of the guns that are on the streets," and like her rallies and stuff, and it's like, you did it.
Yeah. I think it's politics. What can I say?
Yeah, and at the interview, when she was being interviewed by Kate and Castle, she's wearing black, and she's just like, she looks all like,
it's all just
sad.
like a front.
It's a front.
It's a front. Yeah. Like that's like, I think she probably knew that she was going to be like running in the race again, like in place of her dead husband that she actually killed as well. So she's trying to like portray like her being like a grieving wife, a really good one who has kids to take care of after her husband passed away and stuff like that. And so that's all just there for like all the citizens to see, basically, so they can be like, "Oh, let's vote for her, she needs the help," and it's like a sympathy thing, right?
She was like, "We were friends, we were gonna change the world, so I killed."
Yeah, like, lady, come on.
I knew it was her though who did it because of the episode title.
Hell hath no fury.
Yeah, the whole title, the whole phrase is "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned." Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
You learned something, Doob. I learned you a thing.
You learned me a thing. You taught me a thing.
I learned you a thing.
You taught me a thing.
But that's not the end of the episode. Oh, no. This is a long one.
Oh, yeah.
Still have the signing. Alexis calls Castle and is like, "You have to get to the signing." And so he goes. And then what happens?
Castle is just doing like the reading for his new book, basically. And you can tell it's popular because there's a lot of people sitting down.
Mostly
and, like,
women.
Really? Yeah, mostly women, obviously. I mean, Castle, come on.
It's mostly middle-aged, like mom Twilight fans basically sitting, and they're all crying. And I think I mentioned to you, they don't look like they're really crying because of the book. They look like they've been crying because like they smelt like onions or something. And one woman, like, she looks disheveled. She looks like she's been out in the rain or something.
Oh my
terrible.
God. Yeah, so there's like this huge audience that he's reading to in the bookstore where his book was released. And he's like on stage and he was like reading like a certain phrase. I can't remember what the exact phrase was.
He's reading it very emotionally though.
Yeah, very emotionally, and he's very into it too.
And then in walks
Beckett
in a dress,
and she's looking fine.
Is she? I didn't like her dress. It looked very Barbie.
She looks like a typical like hot woman from that time, like from not
she
that
looks
time,
like 2005 Malibu Barbie.
Yeah, basically. She's definitely like had better outfits along the way, but she's supposed to be looking hot, basically.
She like walks and she like slips off her jacket, and Castle like stops mid-sentence and he can't continue. He's like, and then he
yeah, because she's like, it's like in slow-mo too, so you can tell like the person who shot that scene, they were like, wait, wait, zoom in on her dress and her arm and like make it as slow as you can so that it looks really sexy.
So then he meets with her afterwards. She starts making fun of like the way he was reading and stuff, and she's like, "So it doesn't feel great to be like hassled at work, does it?"
Yeah, I like that part because she was like basically saying like, this is how I feel. This is how it feels to be bothered at work.
This is how it feels when you're here.
Yeah.
When you exist in my space.
I don't think she has much opportunity to say this, so this is kind of like payback.
And then Castle's mom comes and she's like, "Oh, darling, I told you it would be fine," or whatever.
Yeah.
And
like,
then,
oh, your book is #1 right now.
Yes, I can't wait for Nikki Heat. It's going to be great. And then Beckett's like, "Nikki Heat?" And Castle's like, "Uh-oh." She's like, "I gotta talk to you about this right now. Nikki Heat? Nikki Heat? She's called Nikki Heat? What is this?" And he's like, "No, no, 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 no. No, 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 it's gonna be great." She's like, "She sounds like a stripper." And he's like, "I told you she was kind of slutty."
Oh my god.
And then he's like, "Think of the
like,
titles.
Yeah.
Heat Wave, Summer Heat, In Heat." And she's like, "Castle, change it now."
Heat. Yeah.
But it's so typical of like that type of author, like
Yeah.
to make like such a cliched name and then to put the name in the title. Like the James Patterson books, all of them are like that. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's just like, no, 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 I'm not changing it. I have artistic integrity. And she's like, artistic integrity, change the name.
And the whole thing, it just ends with like her being like, change the name. Castle, change it. Change.
And then it ends. And then all you hear is, it's like,
yeah, like the whistling.
That's it.
Yeah. I can't whistle properly, so
I can't whistle either. Like you just heard it just now, it was shit. But
yeah.
Thank you, Doob. That's the end of the episode. Oh my god. But we still have to talk about what you would rate it.
I would rate it a 9.
Really? I think I'd do like an 8.5.
I would rate it a 9 because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think both times because I watched it twice.
I watched it
recently.
3 times.
I watched it twice recently for this podcast. Only.
I watched it 3 times because the last one we recorded, we watched it once and we were so bad we couldn't remember anything. My mind is getting there. It's getting old.
I'm getting old too.
It was really bad.
I did my best, and that's all I can do.
That I can't do impressions anymore.
Oh no.
Okay, stop. So yeah. Who was your favorite? Let's do it like this. Who was your favorite character this episode? Instead of like ranking them, who's your favorite?
Who is my favorite? I would say
Alexis. She helped the most. She should get a commendation from the sergeant too.
I think I liked Alexis as well. Yeah.
Alexis for mayor.
Honestly, she's really good.
A layer of gases surrounding the
Oh my god! Oh my god! That's my Alexa. Alexa, stop! Alexa, stop! I think it thought I said Alexa.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
What a timing!
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Shit.
What the heck?
Oh my god!
That's hilarious.
I need to turn that thing off. I never use it.
Oh boy.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I had a couple questions though at the end. I wrote some down.
Okay.
If you had a book, what would you name the book? Like, what would your title ideas be? Like if you made a book for Nikki Heat.
Oh, for Nikki Heat? Like something to do with heat?
Heated cheese, heated knife.
Heat wave?
He said heat wave.
Did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Heat tech.
Heat tech, like Uniqlo.
Yeah. Okay. I have a better. If you can't think of one, I have a better one. What would your detective name be?
My detective name? Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Detective Doob. I think it sounds cute. I feel like my name would be a guy's name. Just because, I don't know, I feel like my detective
persona is a man.
would be a man.
Okay.
And it'd be like Roberto or something.
Detective Roberto. Detective Roberto Fernandez on the scene.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I would probably be detective. I'd be like Vera. You haven't seen Vera, but I would be like Vera. I'd be like in the Scottish Highlands doing stuff. So I'd be like Detective Jiminy Von Cricketon. I've obviously run out of ideas. I'm hungry. Okay, I think it is time to go.
Let me see if Luna would say something.
Oh my
did you
god.
hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Luna?
Did you just wake up your cat so she would say something?
Well, she's been sleeping all day anyways. Doesn't really matter.
She's just been sleeping all day. She's terribly tired. Let me wake her up.
Okay, she's good. She's still relaxed.
Okay. Goodbye, Doob.
And
Goodbye,
with
Luna.
that-
Oh,
Oh.
sorry. Before we go, where can people find you?
Oh yeah. So I guess just Instagram. So my personal Instagram is at DEVA Stars 4. So DEVA Stars 4. And I also have a food blog on Instagram as well, and it's called at t.foodlove. So TDOT food love.
And I am Trisha Does Nothing on Instagram, and I am Alex Does Nothing on YouTube. That is it. Links in the description. Like, favorite, subscribe, jump up and down, ring a bell,
I don't know.
dance,
whatever you want.
Dance, take off your pants. Dance, take off your pants.
Okay. As long as we don't see them.
You don't want to see their pants?
Taking off their pants?
Oh.
No.
Okay. Oh my god. It's like an hour.
Kind of
it's an hour, 10 minutes, dude. We have to go. Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.